Welcome to
Hi, I'm Brittany Ashley, your host of Breaking Norms Building Dreams, your guide through this transformative journey in both business and life. This is your place crafted for dreamers, doers, or anyone who has been told they can't. Get ready as we challenge those narratives together. You're tuning in live to the United Public Radio Network, airing on 105.3 and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. We are streaming on all the popular platforms every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join me for a candid and thought-provoking conversation celebrating your unique journey because you are worth it.
Welcome to Negotiating Happiness, the show that helps you find happiness, success, and balance in your work and life. I'm Adriana Fiestra, your host for this journey into entrepreneurship and personal growth. We're broadcasting live on 107.7 and 105.3 FM in New Orleans as part of the United Public Radio Network. We explore the latest strategies, insights, and stories from successful entrepreneurs and experts. From managing stress to building a thriving business, we've got you covered.
The Power Agency is built for those who move like predators, decide like weapons, and execute like their life depends on it. You're either fully in, or you're invisible.
Every scar tells a tale untold. Every breath makes the night grow cold. The hunter's heart and the prey's last rhyme all collide in the world of true crime. Waits for those who breathe. Through the dark, we'll trace the line. Welcome to the world of true crime.
Welcome to the Authors Quill, everybody. I hope everyone out there around the planet is having a great day, great evening, great morning, wherever you happen to be on our big, beautiful blue planet. This is the Authors Quill. You see there's Mr. John Goodwin up there with me. We're going to talk to Joel in just a minute. I hope all y'all are having a good day. There's a lot of stuff going on our planet these days, a lot of activity going around, a lot to keep your mind on, a lot to keep your thoughts on, or like some of my friends like to do, just sleep right the hell through it. So I don't know, whichever's your choice that works for you, that's the way to go. Y'all know we bring a lot of good authors and illustrators on this show for your pleasure and for their help, to help them to make it in the world, and for all of y'all to enjoy what work they've got available. And remember, people, most of the people we bring on here do have stuff for sale. So don't be lazy. Go to their website and click buy. I mean, it is, where are we now, people? It's middle of June. We're halfway to Christmas. Oh, yeah. Like 180 days of Christmas, people. So get out there and start getting your shopping done. I hear the economy's going up, so go spend some money. Help the economy. Spin, and spend some more. Unless you're in LA and just move the hell out and come down here. So, well, here Seattle's pretty bad too right now. So if you're in Seattle or LA, move somewhere peaceful. On that note, Joel, welcome to the show. How have you been, man?
I'm good, thanks, Joe. Thanks for having me back on. How you keeping?
Yeah, pretty good. I hear it's peaceful in the UK.
Yes, it is. Especially
nice.
Wales.
Oh, man, yeah. Wales is always peaceful. Well, I shouldn't say always, but mostly always peaceful. That's a beautiful country, man. That's beautiful territory over there, Wales.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, lots of beaches around by me. The peninsula, so lots surrounded by beaches. So we like nice spot, relaxing.
And because I know the Brits not always, sometimes the British Isles really pretty, and sometimes it's, a little different. It's a little.
Often have the weather though. That's the only thing. It looks nice, but it's wet.
It's well, I haven't been there in Jesus. I haven't been there in probably as many years as you've been alive. It's It's been a long time. Really, truly,
I've not
it has
been to Wales. I love London. That's pretty much the only place I've been in the UK is London. And hopefully I'll go there again this October following the Frankfurt Book Fair, which is a big publishing event.
Well, you can just go to New York. New York's going to turn into London pretty soon. So, you can just go hang out and do it that way. Christopher, why don't you go to one of the chat rooms? We do have the Pal Talk Messenger open now, so you can use that. I would prefer you either use Pal Talk Messenger or one of the messengers on YouTube or Rumble or somewhere like that, because y'all start cramming up my messenger, my Facebook messenger, and I just lose it. So it's best if you spread it out on different messengers. Yeah, that way you get seen. And you know what? If you're on one of those, I can actually put you in the group with us so everybody can see what you're texting, not just me. They might think I'm losing my mind or something. So, Joe, got anything new coming up for us? Something good? Something sexy?
Sorry, I missed that joke. You say it again.
I said you got something new coming up, something sexy or something,
Well, there's a little something called Writers of the Future Volume 41 that's just landed in the UK. Internationally.
It's back there somewhere. Oh, there
John's
it is.
got it in the back. You've got it in the back there.
Right here.
Yes. See, the difference is I have Bob guarding it, though. See Bob back there? He's guarding my copy. He's not letting anybody around it. He comes alive when you're not paying attention. That's the scary part.
You got the sign he's looking after over there, Joe.
Yes, he's
got the story here on page 267 called "The Stench of Freedom," and he had an amazing piece of art that was created for him.
Oh yeah, John Barlow.
John Barlow here.
Yes,
fab on the right.
John was a cool guy.
It's awesome.
Yeah, he was on that long ago. It's I love so while we're on this subject, so you walked in. I mean, you're an author. It's the great reveal. You're walking in. So, did you recognize it right off the bat, or were you like, "Oh shit"?
Yeah, no. I remember walking in because in the Arrowhammer Theatre at the bottom of the building. It's a big, nice theatre they got down there. Pictures were set up on these easels, and as soon as I walked in, I could see it across the room. I thought, I know straight off the bat that's my one. But because it's on the opposite side, I started walking, just have a look at the other ones, and I got.
You're giving the other
three. No, I'm gonna go see my one. I couldn't wait anymore. But yeah, I saw right across the room and thought, that's right. Yeah, I love it. It's in my study.
Yeah, it was great how he did that billowing cloak behind him as he was walking through there. It was like that was a really good thing that he captured there.
Yeah, he showed me his Breastman's reference photos he's taken. So he had a cloak on himself and was walking. The billowing effect and take photos. Really clever. It was brilliant. He's really captured the mood and atmosphere, I think.
Do you have the art in your home?
I do. I've got it in my study upstairs.
Yeah.
As I have that there where I write now. So I got the sign as well. So yeah, I love it. I see it next to my trophy, trophy. So
yeah, I never thought about that. I guess I should get a copy of all the illustrations and the cover of all of the stories. I could put them in the studio on one wall because we're getting ready to set up a projector system in here. So that would look really cool. I never thought about that. I'll have to think about that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them now because I've been going 6 years.
How many years have you going, Joe?
I've been 5 years in 6 groups because the first group was a double group. That was their day back from COVID. Yes. John brought me down from the day back COVID, said, yeah, he'll get lost in all this crap. There was a lot of people, a lot of stuff going on. But you know what amazed me is they handle it just as well as they handle the small group. That doesn't, I mean, I'm sure behind the scenes, stuff that I don't see, but in public, they all were well-mannered, well-refined, just did their jobs without any. It's because this came up the other day. I did a little lecture not too far from here in Florida and at Pensacola and actually at the Naval Air Station, and it came up, and I was like, no, I said I was amazed how well these people handle this stuff. I said, there's a lot going on. I mean, there's people coming and going. There's all kind of arrangement has to be done. I said, they're well assigned. I said, everybody who's doing everything is doing what they're supposed to be, but they're doing it in a way that really for the person looking in sees it as a flawless, kind of easy, laid back. And and I'm sure there's problems and issues like there is with anything, but they don't let you see them, which is important because you don't want to lose confidence in the people you're hanging out with or you're there with, or that are actually taking you around and showing you around. And I mean, it's like when you go walking at Author Services, that place is fabulous inside. I could spend days in there just wandering around. Of course, I could spend days with the coffee machine too.
Yeah,
So give me some books, give me the coffee machine. I'm good to go, man. Just leave me alone for a little while. But it's a lot of fun. I mean, when you were over there, you seen anything particular that stood out to you, or because I always ask, because I mean, there's so much going on there. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of books, a lot of anything. But there was any particular? I know they got them like set up in scenes. Was there anything that just popped out at you and said, "Oh, well, this is interesting"?
The library, I thought, well, the rooms are stunning. Where we had our workshops was in the what room do you call it? It was like a conference.
The Owen Hubbard Library.
Yeah,
In the library. It's such a beautiful room, and
it is.
when you walk around, you see the shelves stacked with all the books of former winners and Hubbard himself. There's just all these pictures on the walls of all these people, judges and former winners. It's just quite inspiring. It's just, I think I walked around like jaw hanging down really at first.
Yes, Maliva always keeps an eye on me. She's scared I'm gonna snatch some books and bring them home with me.
We just had such a wonderful time out there. John and everyone looked after us so well. It was just the best. It's such a nice week.
It is, and it's spotless, and everything's really clean. Everything's really pretty. All the woodwork's really done. The way the books are set up are really nice. Matter of fact, what was we were looking at? Just Chelsea was showing me this year. So was it the covers of Mission Earth? I don't know. So when you walk in, John, so say if you're coming out the coffee room and you're going into the main room, on the left wall, there was a bunch of new books. First time I've ever seen it with new covers, but they weren't actually new stories. What were those? Was that Mission Earth, or was that something else?
Mission Earth, yeah, it's okay. Mission Earth, and those are the covers that were painted by Rob Pryor, and those would be what we're going to be releasing either later this year or next year for the re-release of Mission Earth.
They were great covers, yeah. They really were nice covers. It caught me off guard when I seen it because I'm kind of used to seeing what's in there. And when I seen it, I was like, Chelsea, what the hell is this? And Chelsea's like, what? I torture Chelsea a lot, but I really like Chelsea. She's a sweetheart, and she does a really good job. So it's always fun to torture the people who do a really good job. But I hadn't seen those covers before. It was I found them interesting, and I like those type of covers. It's those. Matter of fact, a lot of the stuff with the retro covers I really like. I don't know why. Maybe I lived back in the 20s or something. I don't know, but for some reason, a lot of those just stand out to me. So for your story, I know we're jumping around, but for your story, I mean, was there an inspiration? Was there like a child that was driving you crazy or something?
Well, the spark of my story, I had an idea, visualization of someone in a chair getting struck by lightning, and I made me think, well, who's that person? What are they doing there? Are they there by choice? If they're not there by choice, I sort of developed the world and the idea around this city, society powered by people who summon electricity through lightning. I couldn't quite think of strong plot to go with that sort of setting, and then I started thinking about when I became a dad. You start looking at the world differently, and it made me think, well, what would it take for someone who was quite an unpleasant person, a sort of villain, to change their worldview? So that's one of the things with speculative fiction. It allows you to take that sort of story seed of an idea and really just run with it and take it to the extreme. So that it was sort of mashing together that sort of transformation of your worldview and that arresting vision, image I had in my head of someone again was struck by lightning. So I thought, and it came together. The two then, you guys liked it enough to
say 2 thumbs up.
Yeah.
You actually had multiple thumbs up, way more than 2. If there's only 2 thumbs up, you wouldn't have arrived.
No, thank you. So yeah, that was the idea. So it was yeah, it's just one of those ones that seemed to click, and I had fun writing it. Even though it's quite dark and gritty, I had fun writing it and exploring that world. And yeah, I'm happy with how it came. And then seeing John's illustration really just captures the mood of it. This sort of Victorian London inspired setting, fantasy. So I thought that was a bit different as well than a medieval setting. So I had fun.
Good, yeah. It's interesting with with the stories, science fiction and fantasy. Joe, is that high pitch? Is that you, or is that Joel?
I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. It's bugging the hell out of me. I know that, though. I don't know if it's coming from me. I can hear it, but hold on. Maybe I don't know.
I can't.
No, maybe it's. I hear it, but I don't know if it's for me. If it's coming from somewhere else. I don't know. Nope, that didn't make it stop. Well, maybe it stopped, sort of.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah. So it seems to be chilled right now. Maybe it's Joel's story. It's like the
there's a crackle coming through.
Yeah, the electricity is coming through, and it's going to start zapping somebody. But it's interesting because with science fiction and fantasy, with science fiction, you're able to do social commentary. So were you looking to comment about anything in particular with your story of like take a current scene and put into a different setting that people can like look at?
Well, one of the things I was thinking was sometimes how, and it's an extreme example, sometimes how you can get caught up in what you're doing, your ambitions and what you want, and you can become quite self-centered, quite selfish, and you got your blinkers on. And I wanted a story of someone who had gone so far down that road of he's ambitious, he wants to get promoted, he wants to be the sort of top dog, that you kind of lose yourself. You kind of lose what you stood on so many people's backs to get to where you are. What would it take for you to realize what you've done? And are you the person do you like the person you become, and what you've achieved? Just kind of looking at it in a sort of how you've obviously done something to get to the level of seniority, and what would it take for you to realize what you've done to get the bad things you've done, and what you can do about it when you have that realization? Is what's more important when your back's against the wall, so to speak? What's more important to you? And it's your ambition or family, I guess. So it was looking at that really and trying to explore that idea and running with that.
I get it. And then with respect to, so that was obviously science fiction. Is that your favorite genre to try, or do you also like doing fantasy, or do you also bridge over to other genres?
I mostly write science fiction and fantasy. I do like because I have 2 young kids. I think I write some sort of silly picture book ideas for them, which are quite different to what I write. But I tend to write more science fiction, short stories, and fantasy. I think I find it hard to get short word count. Fantasy, it's go on, but those are the 2 genres I tend to write in, and I read mostly science fiction and fantasy as well. So I think that's my comfort. Where I get it. Yeah.
Do you ever just tell stories to your kids? Do you ever just like make up stories and tell them stories, and then become inspiration for other stories you then want to write?
Yeah, I do have some. Sometimes they'll ask me to say something for bed, to tell them something, make up something silly to try and make them laugh, or to put them in a good mood if they're having a tantrum or whatever to distract them. And yeah, sometimes I have one idea of a fluffing puffin. So kids are like, they they like the silly stuff like the farting and stuff. So I think I'll just do that and try and make them laugh and not cry.
Mm-hmm.
And try and get them out of bed. So and stuff like that is quite good. I find it some creativity, sort of jump through ideas and start trying to think of something, and it's a different exercise to try and get those juices flowing to that, almost like a way to break through the writer's block is to think of a different creative exercise, something different. Still creating a story, but it's a very different sort of story. It's more fun.
Yeah, it seemed like having your kids would be a great way to break writer's block by just telling them a story.
Yeah. So and you sort of, when your brain swaps into that mode as well, you think of it differently because it's oral rather than written. Then, so you'll listen to how the words sound as they come out, and if it's in a sort of prose, or if it's more in sort of pentameter. So the way you're speaking, the words you choose, the rhythm of it all, it kind of makes you think of the story differently. Because when you just type on the computer, sometimes I don't read it back to myself very often, and that's a good tip someone said, is to read your story when it's done, because then actually Jodie told me that when Unbeliever, when my story got through, they said read it out loud, and then you can happily pick out if there's the sentences don't quite sound right, and the story once it's read sounds different than when you read it in your head, because then when you read it in your head sometimes you skip over words because you know what's coming, but when you have to read out loud, all of a sudden you think that sentence is too long, or you're short of breath, or it doesn't quite sound right, it doesn't feel right, it doesn't have the right rhythm to it, or the paragraph is too many sentences the same length. It hasn't got that flow to it. So that's what helps as well. Reading stories of children, it gives you a perspective, I think.
Now, are you still going after that dream of becoming an author, or have you like now, okay, I've been there, done that, now it's back to making my money and raising my kids?
No, it's definitely much still my dream, and if anything, coming to Hollywood, it's inspired me even more to that. Good. It's achievable, and it's lit a fire in me that I think, do you know what, I've been picked as a winner of this contest. It's huge. I feel really proud and privileged, and honoured really to be in this list of alumni, really, who's come before me, and it makes me want to do more. I think it's a huge achievement for myself, not something I thought I would achieve, but it makes me want to do more, and I want to be one of the people who in 10, 15 years, when it's volume 55, 60, that I've gone on and published books, and I'm making a living from it. Someone to look and hopefully inspire the people who come in after me.
Good. Well, we're totally with you on that. That's the idea.
Yeah, and that's it. It makes the contest gives you that belief. You look at some of the names of past winners and think they were in my shoes once. I'm starting off in some respects in a similar position. Their careers have gone that way, so with a bit of luck, hard work, who knows? It could be myself one day. So it's been great. The confidence boost has been just unbelievable. It's really transformed my perspective, my confidence, and really just my mindset as well. It's I've
Yeah,
gone
but,
from, it's not
you
a
know,
hobby, it's I can do more.
yeah. And one of the things that's interesting too, because when a person is reading any author, they see the author in present time.
Mm.
This guy is a New York Times bestselling author. This person's a USA Today bestselling author. This person is international bestselling author. And so you don't see their journey.
Mm.
Everybody has to start somewhere. And the whole, the joke, like, yeah, it only took them 20 years to become an overnight success.
Yes.
So you get that. And so, I've talked to Scott Card, I've talked to Larry Niven, I've talked to Jody Lanai, to all of our judges, and many of them got their start entering the Writers of the Future contest, like Nydia Corafor and Rob Sawyer and Sean Williams and Dean Wesley Smith, Nina Creaky Hoffman, Kevin Anderson. That was their start of their career as a writer, by entering this contest and writing and writing and writing. And then they either pro'd out or they won and then became famous. And then I was always tracking their careers. And then at some point I would decide, okay, good, they're ready to be invited. But I also watched to make sure, are these people interested in helping other writers, or are they just, no, I just have my own career and that's all I'm going to do. And some people I've talked to and says, no, I just want to do my own thing. I said, okay, I'm not a good teacher. Okay. Have a good life. Those aren't the people for Writers of the Future or Illustrators of the Future, because they're not into that aspect of helping the next generation, wanting to be able to stretch out their hand and help pull the other guys up. And that's what you got with their judges. They're just such nice people, and they're willing to help, and just, they welcome you into the ranks of a professional writer, and they're hoping to see you come out with some books.
Yeah, I mean, all the judges, they were so approachable and really passionate, and they just wanted to help. And it was funny. They just treated you like peers, and it was quite bizarre. It was really nice. It's like, oh my goodness, just speaking to me like I'm one of them.
Yeah.
And they were great teachers, and you could see they really cared and they got a lot out of it. It was really inspiring to see them looking to help us and to say, well, we want to pass the baton on. We want you to be coming up next, and we want to help you get there. It wasn't any, I'm going to pull the ladder up after me. It was all, how we did it. This is how I think, this could help you. This advice might work, it might not, whatever. But any questions, and they were great. It was.
Yeah, you'll find the guys that come there, especially the ones that come routinely, they make sure that the workshop week and the event is on their calendar, and they work around it. So they get asked. A lot of them are like guests of honor at conventions all over the world, and they just, so we have to schedule a year in advance so they can put it on the calendar and they can work around that. Some events will schedule their events around Rise of the Future, because they know they're not going to be able to get the judges to come there, because the judges choose Rise of the Future first over the other conventions.
And to be part of that is just mind blowing. Yeah, it was terrific. It was, I'd say to anyone who's listening now, if they're thinking of entering, you've still got 2 days left for this quarter, so get your stories in.
Yeah, so right now, we're definitely promoting it heavily. Like, okay, anybody that's listening to this stuff here, what Joel's saying, how many times did you enter the contest?
12 is my 12th time. 12. So keep going.
So you could. The only way you're going to win is by submitting, and the worst that's going to happen is you'll get an email saying, "Thank you very much. Please submit again." That's the worst. But then you start winning honorable mentions and silver honorable mentions and finalists, and then you're improving. It's one of the few ways you can actually gauge yourself without having to wait a year or two, or just kind of like take it on, okay, how are the rejects now? Oh, I got a comment on a reject. But this, you can actually march yourself going up and knowing that if you get an honorable mention, you're in the top 10 percentile and then on up from there. So it's a good way of gauging, and other editors know that as well. So you see a lot of times where someone will publish their book and they'll say, I won an honorable mention, or I won 2 honorable mentions in Writers of the Future before being published. It's got that kind of credibility because it's known out there that it's totally blind judge. So there's no like, okay, I'm gonna pay off the judge and they're gonna give me special consideration because they like people from Wales, you know.
You better bring lots of chocolate, people, if you want to pay somebody.
There we go.
Yeah.
You might have a chance with Emily if you bring some chocolate. But since she's not a deciding judge, I don't know if it's going to help you any or not. But you can try. You can try.
You're right there, Joel. You say it was when I first entered, my first submission came back with a silver honorable mention. And I thought, do you know what? Maybe I can write. Maybe it's a confidence boost because so many times you can submit to a magazine and it'll be a full rejection. You have no idea where you're at. But then I started consistently getting honorable mentions, and I think I got two silver honorable mentions. And I thought, do you know what? I was mostly getting those honorable mentions, and it gave me the confidence. I thought, do you know what? My stories are good. I can do this. I just need to refine it and keep going and practice.
Oh,
yeah.
There's something that's not quite there. I just need to find it and tweak it, and just to keep going. But it was such a confidence boost to submit and not win, but get that ranking. So you have an idea of your progress or how good your story is, and if it's marketable afterwards. So it felt like, especially when you're trying to squeeze in writing around life, it felt like you were wasting your time, but it was worth pursuing. So the contest is great for that as well. It's a great community in the online forum. I'd recommend.
I'm gonna help y'all get honorable mention. I'm gonna tell you what kind of chocolate Jody likes. Just tape it onto the thing and send it. Okay, I'm telling you, got a better chance if you tape this chocolate on there. She'll be like, oh wait, I'm gonna have to read this story now. It's got chocolate.
So it's that low calorie digital chocolate.
You can try
hard coffee.
As much as you like.
You can try. Actually, that noise is coming from Joel's mic. I don't know what it is, but it's some kind of weirdness between us. Yeah, it's just a hum that we get. The reason I found out as I started muting
my Wi-Fi.
It might be something. It might be something crossing over. It might be something in the air too. It only does it every once in a while, but that's why I muted you a couple of times just to see if it was you, because I have to go through all of us to see. You never know which one of us it's going to, because you never know what's going to cause a problem when you do this. But anyway, we got about 16 minutes. I think we can live.
We can deal with it. Is there I was just curious, Joel, is there anything from writersofthefuture.com that was more beneficial for you personally? Because we have the free online course, we have the podcast, we have the forum, there's the blog, and
I found that when I started properly trying to write, I found Writers of the Future about 6 months after my daughter was born. I thought, I'm going to give this a go. And the online workshop was fantastic because when it's free, which, most times if you got hours and hours and hours of lessons from Austin McCloud, Dave Harlan, Tim Powers, you can be paying money for that. And it was terrific. It was so helpful, and you could do it in your own time. That I found that really helpful. I've been a part of the online forum as well. There's a lot of writers who are in the same boat as you, very supportive, you can share critiques, so you can swap stories, and reading other people's work and trying to help them and them help you, help me grow a lot as a writer, and they help me spot identify blind spots when I'm writing, things I didn't think about, or things that I might not have done so well. And it's just nice to have a community, because sometimes writing can be quite just on your own. You know, you're in your study or wherever,
Yeah.
house, write it away, and it's just into the ether. You send off a story, you get a rejection. It's just you know, on a computer. So having other people who are in the same boat, I found great. It really gave my confidence a boost. And also, when you're feeling a bit down or things aren't going well, disappointed, there's people there who you can chat with. You can bounce ideas off. So it's a really nice community.
Yeah, the forum is also set up so that there's one basic rule: you can't give anybody grief. You can't diss anybody, and if you do, you get one warning. You do it again, you're banned from the forum. Because if you want to get somebody to give you some grief, just go on social media. You'll have it.
Quite, yeah.
You'll get it in no time at all.
Yes, come see me. I'll give you lots of grief. You know, it's funny because we were talking about writersofthefuture.com last night. It was part of the right smack in the middle of the show. Somebody asked me about John. And so I said, well, I can't tell you about John without tell you the whole story. And then at the end, I always plug the Writers of the Future. I usually plug both galaxypress.com and writersofthefuture.com. But we had a big audience last night. And people, once I promoted, then somebody's got to always ask me, oh, well, how do I win? I said, submit. Well, you don't have you don't have any ideas? I said, yes, submit. And I said, look, you can submit 4 times a year. I said, come on. If you can't win, then I don't know what to tell you. I said, I will tell you for writers, it seems to go between 12 and 18 times before they win. That's about average. Illustrators are a little less. Illustrators between 1 and 7. I said, they win a little fast. I said, but it's a different thing. I said, they said, oh God, that's like 14 years. I said, no, you can submit 4 times a year. I said, it's like 3 years.
Well, that is a great thing about it as well. Is it's so regular. It's 4 times a year. It gives you that deadline to work to. You know where you stand. So it's writing one fresh story each time, which is always helps. Is the advice I give.
Yeah,
write something new.
That's important to do. Keep on doing. There's no scarcity of story ideas.
Yeah, so it's just a really good place to sort of learn. You know, because you're writing new stories, you're getting a grade in. You know, it's regular. So,
Now you read a story too. You read, was it Typewriter in the Sky by Owen Hubbard?
Yes, that was really, I really enjoyed that. Yeah, it was. It still felt quite fresh in the sense that it was dealing with like quite what we call meta now, I guess you probably call, with the character falling into a story. And he knows the writer, and he knows his friend is the author, and he's fallen into his friend's story. So he knows the sort of tropes his friend is going to write, and that he's in for a plenty bloody ending if he doesn't try and change the narrative himself. So it was a fun read, and it was funny how he played with the sort of tropes of and the idea of the story writing itself and getting away from the writer, which we can all sympathize with.
Yeah, and a lot of the characters he meets at the end when he's back into New York, and he ends up in the bar there, and he's
with the Western writer.
Yeah, well, there's several writers in there, and those are all different pen names.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, he wrote under 15 different pen names, so several of them were the people in the bar.
Oh yeah. There was the Western, right?
Yeah, Winchester Remington Colt. That's one of his pen names. Yeah.
That was fun.
I started talking about that. What was the radio theater? What was the story this year? What was the name of it?
Tough Old Man.
Yeah,
that's what it was. Okay.
Yeah,
I was trying to tell somebody the other night, and I could not remember the title for nothing. I said, because I actually enjoy those things. Yeah, I really enjoy those.
Yeah, that was really fun evening.
It's the third one I've seen they've done. I really enjoy it. But I like old radio too. So it's
radio theater when it's live, and these guys are all proven actors. So they're all guys. That's what they do for a living. Is they're actors. So
they were all good.
They love doing the shows for us. And we used to have weekly theaters, and then once the pandemic hit, we kind of like stopped it, and we haven't built it back in again. So we just have the one show a year that we do for the Writers of Future winners. And so they just love being able to come in and perform, because
it was so much fun. And I'd read the story beforehand, so then to see it performed, it just
I enjoyed it, but it
was fantastic.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's the story that's in volume 41, Tough Old Man.
Yeah.
It's the L. Ron Hubbard story that's in there.
Yeah, actually, that's what I told somebody. I said, I know it's in book 41. You'll have to go buy it and find it. And they're like, what else? I can't remember the damn name. I'll go buy the book that's in there. They're like, well, I said, yeah, I know it's in there. I just can't remember the name for nothing.
All right, wasn't that cool too? You got your Golden Award-winning author.
Yeah,
that was
and it timed very well with the UK releases, like the day before.
I know that was great. So you're
the day after, wasn't it? Yeah,
you're a best-selling author. You're a Gold Award-winning author. You're just like,
that's right. Yeah,
it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I was saying to my wife actually, a year ago, probably today, either today or tomorrow, I submitted my story to Writers of the Future, and this is the quarter I won last year. So it's almost a year to the day I submitted my story. And now part of a Amazon best-selling anthology, being to Hollywood. So you just don't know what's going to happen. Just get the story in. It's honestly what a difference a year makes.
See, I think everybody should send Jody chocolate.
That's it.
I've
got good taste in chocolate. I sent it across the Jody. The rest is
history. Look, I get my station manager to send me Canadian chocolate down all the time because it's better than American chocolate. It's amazing too. They even got, it's funny about it. They have like Reese's, but they don't call them Reese's. They call them something else. They got like Kit Kats, but they call them something else. But it's a better quality chocolate than what we get in the States. So but she won't send it to me in the summertime because she says it's going to melt. So I always got to wait till it's cold.
Yeah. But don't let Joe fool you there, Joel. He hasn't brought 1 ounce of chocolate to Emily. He tells people to do it. He just gives her swords.
Yes, I give her better than chocolate, man. I got a present for her. This. I ain't gonna tell her what it is until I see her. It's we got to make sure John is protected. Come on, there's riots in there. I could see her out there. I might have to bring one of the big ones to let her stand out there like this and say, "Come on, come by. We'll fix your ass up." And I think she's swinging on somebody. Hey, guys, girls, we're talking about Emily Goodwin. In case y'all don't know who we're talking about, Emily is really a sweetheart. But she will kick your ass if you get in her way. I'm just being honest with y'all. Okay, it's the kind of person she is. That's why I say, "Oh, Emily, I love you, baby. Don't hurt me." She's like this big too, people. I'm just saying, but she is a lot of fun to hang out with, and she really is doing what she's supposed to be doing. For her, it's like you come Tuesday, you don't see her until now they moved it up till Thursday. They used to have the gala on Friday, so you used to not see her till Thursday. So now you see her on Wednesday, but she stays busy. What John does too. John's like, I see John a little while in the afternoon when I catch lunch or breakfast or something. Then I'll see him later on in the day, unless I happen to be in the classes, and then I'll see them more often. But sometimes I'm in the illustrators and they're in the authors and flip slots back and forth. But I like sitting in the classes because I learn a lot, and it's easier for me when I'm in lecture tour, which I've already done quite a few lectures this year. It's easier for me when I'm on the lecture tour. It's in my head, so I can talk to people.
Yeah.
All these people, especially when we're doing I've been invited to speak at a couple of English lit classes, and it's not because of my way of speaking or anything. It's because of politics, actually. But it always comes up. Writers of the Future always comes up. It's easier. And then I like one professor's like, "Man, you know all them terms pretty good." I said, "Yeah, but 6 years ago, I know what the hell they were talking about." It's like, I'm like, what? Like, it was jibber jabber. But see, now when I'm listening to future artists or illustrators or somebody who's really looking at, I actually understand what they're talking about. So it's easier for me to talk to them and say, "Hey, look, this is where you need to be." I said, "If my dumb butt can learn this, anybody can." I said, "So this is where you need to be." I mean, it doesn't matter on the art stuff. My stick man is my stick man. That's how it's going to be. It doesn't how much they could teach me art until the sky falls. I just can't. I understand it just doesn't come out on paper right. But the books are different. I've actually started slowing myself down. I bought me a thing where I can talk to it that slows my speech down for me. So So in other words, when I send somebody audio to text, John knows he's gotten them before, you'll get these disjointed sentences because it doesn't, I talk too fast or my coon-ass accent kicks in and it misreads words. And sometimes it misreads words in a bad way. So
That's a fact.
you got to be careful. But now I got this, it'll make it easy. And one of these days I'll send it to somebody and say, here, somebody who actually knows what they're doing to come to writing and let them write. Because we have actually 5 books. 3 are already completely outlined and 2 are almost outlined. But my skill as a writer is, how can I say this politely, lacking at best. Just, so I'm jealous of you guys that get out there and writing good stuff because I'm big in this sci-fi. I really like sci-fi. And of course, near now sci-fi I like even more. But and I can do fantasy, but I prefer sci-fi or sci-fi fantasy. But I don't know. For me, sci-fi really takes it home for me. It can be future, it can be past, it can be anything, just as long as it's got sci-fi in it. Oh, and this is a must for me. I don't care how serious a sci-fi book is, or a novel is, or a movie is. It's not real sci-fi if there's not some comedy in there. Because when things really hit the fan, somebody's always going to crack a joke, and that's in real life. Most special forces, well, you're about to die, and somebody's going to crack a joke. Because that's how it really is. It's the stress relief. So if that's not in it, then you're missing out. You're because one of the things that what was it? BSG. When BSG came back out, Battlestar Galactica, the second one. The first one was campy and stupid, and the second one was complete drama. There was no any kind of fun in it at all. It's just drama. So I was like, well, it's okay, but I mean, there's just nothing else. I need to laugh. When I'm about to die, I still need to laugh. So if it's not in there, I mean, that's on my own personal advice, but. I do notice the ones that have a little comedy in them seem to do better, both in movies and, I mean, look at Star Wars and Star Trek. That tells you right there.
Yeah. So peaks and troughs, I guess, isn't it? The emotions, so it's not all one note.
Yeah, we can't forget about Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. I mean, they all get pretty serious drama, but they all have some fun in there. Some goofiness, some stupidness, but I think you've already got that because I read your story, so I think you're already kind of figured that out. But a lot of people don't. They just write. I'm like, people, cut us some break here. I want to laugh. If I'm going to die, I want to at least be laughing while I'm falling down a cliff or something. I don't care what it is. It's just one of them things. But I've heard Gene Roddenberry talk about that before. It's not sci-fi, it's just not comedy in it. So he said that on many occasions. I guess I'll take his word for it because he built the franchise.
Yeah.
I guess we will. So what you got coming up for the future, man?
Well, my plan is, my wife has said, hold it to it, if I can get a novel ready to pitch for next year, we've got Dragon Con next year. So that'll be the plan. So I'm trying to sort out an idea. Plot out a story, get that written, and hopefully come out and Atlanta next year. So that'll be gives me about a year. I got some short stories I'm working on as well that I'm sending out. That's the big plan.
Dragon Con's a good place to go sell books at. That's for sure. There's a lot of people there.
Yeah.
Mosey
Catch up with the Writers of the Future. It'll be 42 there next year.
Yeah, a lot of people there. I just interviewed Martin Shoemaker, and you met him this last year.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
He's got a book coming out with about 30 short stories. He did it from a convention. He was given a challenge where he had to write a story a day, and they all just he put them all together and filled in a few blanks, and then turned into a novel. And that's he's just publishing that too. So it was like it was very interesting, so I wanted to interview him about them on the podcast. That'll be up in the next month or so. But it was fascinating. Just, he likes short stories. So he just wrote short stories, and just like there's like between 30 and 40 of them that then made into this novel.
Well, I think didn't he just win the analog readers?
Probably. Yeah, he's good with analog.
He's good with
his hard. He's good with his hard sci-fi.
Yeah. That's a good idea for the novels. About 34 short stories.
Yeah,
well, short stories are good for people like me who have a lack of attention span. So or anything in audio form is good for me because, my attention span lasts about 6 minutes sometimes. And it's well, I mean, seriously, it's better than that, but still, I get to running around like a crazy person and I forget what I'm doing half the time. So it's something I can read quickly and enjoy. I prefer, but I can understand. But then I'm also one of those guys. I like deep, in-depth things too. So, but that makes it harder for me to read. I need that in an audio book because I'm not going to have the time to sit down and read 500 pages. It's just, or 300 pages, not going to happen. But if it's 100 pages or 75 pages, I can read that pretty quickly and enjoy. Or, if I can find it in the audio book, I get John to send me any audio book he can. And because audiobooks are easy for me, I just plug them in. Like yesterday, I was going to start listening to the Battlefield Earth. Somebody sent me. We're not going to mention no names. And but then I got sidetracked by something else. I had something else in the queue actually, so I listened to it instead. But I like sitting and listening while, because it doesn't. People tell me all the time, "Well, I can't type and do numbers and do work while I'm listening to stuff." Well, I can. It doesn't even bother me a little bit. It's like my brain splits in half. It focuses on what it's doing and it focuses on what it's listening to. And I will even catch myself sometimes stopping because I heard something I found really interesting. So I'll stop work for a minute, go back and re-listen to whatever it was that I heard, because I want to make sure I get the whole story. Because when you're listening, sometimes you don't always get the whole story.
No, I find that sometimes with the audiobook. If I just sort of listen to it. I try to do it if I work and I'd be typing out an email, then all of a sudden I'm typing dialogue into my email. I think, what am I doing?
Well, it's one of the reasons I tend to read the Writers of the Future book 3 times. So John sends it to me, and I usually take a week messing around. I'll read a story a day or something. And then when I get on the airplane, I read the whole damn book before I get to LA. And then when I get to LA, usually the first night, because I'm jet lagged, I'll usually hang out and read. And I'll read like half the book, and the next night I'll read the other half. And that way it's all fresh in my mind when I'm seeing y'all's good looking faces. I have the story there. It's easier for me to, when I know a story, it's easier for me to associate it with the person's face. It's just like it locks in for me. And say, so this one wrote it, this one wrote it, this one wrote it, this one wrote it. And it also helps me with your personalities, reading your stories. I'm not going to lie. I get a lot out of that because, I've been taught a lot of things over the years. So, and people have a tendency to put part of their self into a story.
Well, I hope you didn't think I wonder what I was going to be like after my
Not like that. That's not what I mean, but it's hard to explain, but it's like your character personality. But you know what? I don't think you're out here chopping people over nothing. That's what you're making somebody for lunch. What's that? Cherry Lynn? No, that's Joel. Joel's in the UK, sweetie. Why? What you got? I don't think they have a Dragon Con in the UK. They might have something like that in London. They have anything like a Dragon Con in London? I've never heard anything like that.
Fancy Con is in Brighton, I think, this year.
Because I usually keep up with y'all mostly pretty good because I got a lot of friends in the UK. UFO on the Cover, them people love that show over there. And you know what? It airs at midnight, and they still love that show over there. It used to air at 1 a.m. over there. It was like coast to coast for them. I didn't realize until one day I was getting phone calls, and in the old days when we took calls, and half of them were from the UK. I was like, what? I mean, that's not even a cheap call back then. Yeah, I'm telling you, back then that wasn't even a cheap call. That was actually a paid call you had to make. And a lot of times you got to sit and wait. And we have a good audience over there, and a bunch of them, like half of them, were from London. And we get calls from pubs. The guy, I kept hearing thunk thunk one night. I said, "What are you playing darts while you're talking to me?" "Oh, how did you know I was playing darts?" I said, "Because I could hear thunk thunk." I said, "I used to play darts, man. I recognize the sound." I said, "You're going to talk to me? You're going to play darts?" "I can do both." I said, "No, pick one." I said, "Pick," but I'm in the middle of a game. I said, "Call me back later." It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of interesting people in the UK, and I like it because mainly we think the same, but then we think different on some things. It's just like certain words we use. Your words are different than ours, even though they mean the same thing. They're just slightly different than ours. And the thought thing is kind of the same. It's one of the reasons why I was a fan of Doctor Who. There's also a reason why I was a fan of what was it, Blake Seven?
Well, the guy who relaunched Doctor Who recently, he went to the same school as me, but older, so from the same school. The writer, Russell T Davies. I'm sure.
Yes, yeah. It's I mean, it's one of the reasons I liked him in the old days when I was young. BBC had them down here in reruns. I mean, it was probably like 4 years behind what they were in England. And, you know, and I used to think, well, y'all got some weird ass, it's their comedy. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I was like, who the hell's writing this stuff? But it was a lot of it was really good. But I did like the drama parts. It seemed like it was well orchestrated, well done. I mean, let's not talk about the well, you know, the whatchamacallit part sucked, but the special effects. But other than that, but you know what, a Dalek from way back then still looks like a Dalek today. So I'm not going to hate. But I mean, stuff like that and those other shows I used to listen to. They have, I mean, not BBC, PBS for a long time had 8 or 10 different style shows. All of them came from England, and they were just, when you listen to people talk, you just think differently than we do. And not completely, not utterly, but different, which I like. I get tired of hearing the same old. Especially now, I'm getting to be old. So, you know, I don't like the same. Last time I checked, I was born before the sun came up. So, I was born before the universe came up. So, look, I got to pick on it. What's that, Stephanie? No, Joel's the oldest here. What are you talking about? He just looks younger than us. That's all.
It's the lighting. It's his favorite lighting.
That's special British makeup, man. That's what that is.
He's one of those golden age authors from the 40s.
I got portrait my actor.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, actually, no, Denise, we actually do have another guest. Come on, let me go check. I haven't seen him. I just sent him the information a minute ago, though, so we will try it again. And just to make sure, oh, what is this popping up on my screen? I don't know who Ellen is. Lord, God, please don't let no Ellen be on my screen. She's over there torturing them poor people in the British Isle, man. I'm surprised that all the people in England haven't moved to Europe to get away from that crazy woman. Let's see.
So we got Ian Keith is coming up, right?
Yeah, he should be. Yeah, I sent him a thing a few minutes ago. I'm gonna send it to him again, just to be on the safe side. Let me send it one more time.
Same quarter as me. He's 4-3. He's second. I was third.
Yeah,
Story's a great story.
One thing that's interesting too is that I've never seen the fact that somebody's first, second, and third making any real difference in the future of a career. It's just having been published, because nobody, unless you get all the way to the end and look at it, nobody's going to know, like, oh, this is the first place story. You don't even know what the grand prize story is in here.
No, it's true. Yeah.
Honestly, I don't pay any attention to that. I do pay it when we're at the gala when they announce the big winner. But other than that, I got to be honest, I don't really pay attention to it. It doesn't really make any difference in the way I'm looking at things or the way I'm looking at people. So, because the story either fascinates me or it doesn't, so it doesn't really matter what place it plays as long as it's a good story. And so far,
different as well. So it's, I think, if you like speculative fiction, it's normally a story. If you open any volume,
yeah. I mean, you're guaranteed, if you like speculative fiction, you're guaranteed to find something that you're going to like.
Well, I think I'm in 12 of the Writers of the Future books now. And then I was trying to find one recently that's not available anymore. I think it was 23 or 22. Anyway, I got it written down. And but I've been reading backwards. Well, I got all these that you see up here. And this represents at least 6 years up here in different places. And then there's a box down here. So I got a box set with 10 in it, but then I got another box set originally that had 5 in it. But they were older stories. They were older books. And I got to tell you, to me, it's the same. The quality of writing seems to be the same, and the quality of the book seems to be the same. There's some differences, but I mean, all in all, the quality's there.
Yeah.
And I enjoy them. I enjoy seeing the artwork, but the stories are just long enough to get me to get wrapped up into the story, but not too long enough that I'm like, God, is this thing going to ever end? I don't want to. Speaking of that, I gotta call Scott Card. I just watched Ender's Game again night before last. I got some questions for him. I know he ain't a big happy person with that movie, but I got some questions for him.
Well, the book is children, and the movie is teens.
Yeah,
So
and it's much different. It's just much different.
And the movie.
And see, I didn't know that because the
young adult romance, and in the children's book, no romance there at all.
Yeah, the first time I talked to him, I didn't really quite grasp what he was talking about. And then the second time I talked to him, I'm like, oh shit, this kid's supposed to be like 10, not 14 or 15. And really the guy playing the part, I think, was older than that. It's I don't know. I can see what he was saying. And children do look at things differently than teenagers do or adults do, you know.
Yeah.
Really and truly, as you phase through life, you look at things differently. Your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, your 60s. You know, it's always funny to always tell people I know, oh, I'm going to be 30, I'm going to be 40. I said, that's not the year you got to worry about. It's like when you hit 53. Oh, that's when the shit hits the fan. Not 50. 50, you're like, whatever. 40, you're like, whatever. Yeah, 45, you're like, oh, wait a minute, man, I'm getting old. it's just a different thing. What is that, Clara? Ian's supposed to be with us. I haven't seen him. I texted him twice. He maybe got a hot date or something. I don't know. You know, it's a crazy place. Where is he? In Arizona somewhere?
Yeah, he's in Phoenix.
Yeah,
maybe he melted.
He might have out there. I wouldn't put it past him.
I was there a month ago, and it was definitely getting warm.
So, Bethany, where are you? You're in England. You'd rather not say what part? Well, you don't have to say what part. Like I know, hey, he might know what you're talking about. Unless you're in like 4 cities, I have no idea what you're talking about. Well, I've never, you know what, to be honest with you, I haven't been to England like that. I've sailed past it this way and I've sailed past it this way. Oh, I sailed past it in the strait one time. No, we got shore leave, but not into England or anything, not into London or anything. It was some little Navy town that I think the Americans owned or something. Yeah, it was boring as all hell. I was wanting to go see Stonehenge. I was wanting to go all over the place. I was wanting to go spend a couple of days in London. I still remember our commander. Y'all not going to London. Half of y'all get arrested. I'm like, no, we won't get. Well, you know why? Because we went to Madrid, and half of us did get arrested. So I can kind of see his point. Well, you know, I wanted to go. It's like Hawaii. We sailed past Hawaii 3 times. I was like, you got to be kidding me, right? We're not going to go to Hawaii? Nope. We sent our jets. We sent the officers. Nope. Let's pour this in. Just sailed on by. I was like, this is some kind of perverted teasing going up in his place, man. Oh, I see Ian popped in. Look at Ian up here. Oh, Ian, how you doing, baby?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey there, Ian.
Good to see you.
You look like an alien picked you up or something, man. What's going on there?
Is that right? I see an alien skull in your background there. Is that who?
Oh, yes. That's Bob. Bob protects all the books. That's Bob. Don't screw
cool.
with Bob. Actually, Bob is how we give prizes away, only on television. So if you're on our Roku channel or on our Fire Stick channel, see his eyes. There's stuff inside of his eyes. If you could tell us what's in the eyes, then we'll give you a prize, a book, a sword, whatever. Last year we were giving lightsabers away, so I don't know if we're going to be giving. We haven't heard from the guy this year, but 3 years we gave away lightsabers from a connection I met meeting John and them in not Phoenix
Was it in Atlanta or was it in?
No, it was in Utah,
Salt Lake City.
Yeah,
at
Phoenix. Yeah,
Phoenix. Yeah.
And the funny part was the guy I met was actually from England. He was over there, and we cut a deal to give away some lightsabers. I think all together in the 3 years, he gave close to 100 of them away. I'm telling you, man, Kylo Ren's lightsaber is $1,000. That's what it cost. Obi-Wan's was like 600, 700. I was like, what? I said, dude, I got one somewhere over there, but I'm like, wait, how much? I thought he was kidding when he said that. No, and you can get 2 different kind of. So I got the fighting lance on mine. They come with real clean, pretty glass, but you can't fight with those. And if you drop them, they're going to break. So they actually make one you can take off and put on so you can go fight with them. Because there's clubs that fight with lightsabers. I didn't know that. I was completely ignorant to that one. I was like, what? He said, here, let me show you a video. And sure enough, they're out there. And, they got sound effects and all. And when you hit them, they make noises. I'm like, I'm living in the wrong world, apparently. I've gotten too old to have fun, I guess. I don't know what it is. So, Ian, what you been up to? You say hi to Joel, Ian. Y'all know each other. I'm sure you've met
Yeah,
before.
Joel, how you doing, man?
Good, thanks. How you doing, mate?
It's
Can you move your camera down a little bit, Ian? Because it looks like Kilroy there. There you go.
yes, he was being
So
possessed.
everybody, so Ian's also published in volume 41 with his story. This is the illustration for his story.
The one with the redhead.
Stone.
Yes, the redhead. Yes. Who drew that redhead? She's hot, man. It just distracts me. You stick her up there. I'm sorry. I'm not even looking at this. Even Ian knows. He's like, damn, they should have put me somewhere else in the book. No, guys and girls, everything you just saw that John showed you is in this book right here, 41. Let me slide this one over. Y'all keep looking at this one. I noticed. This one right here. This is Mission Earth, actually. Oh no, this is Battlefield Earth. I'm sorry.
It's Battlefield Earth.
Yes. But before we get into this, look at this thing, people. Jesus, and they expect you to read this. I mean, look. You better be a good reader, is all I got to tell you.
It's a great book. 425,000 words.
So I've seen the movie and I've listened to the audiobook, which is, by the way, I can't say how nice it is. Fabulous. It takes a long time. What is it, John? 40 hours, 44 hours?
42 hours, yeah.
It's, man, the sound effects are fabulous. The people, it's just a lot of fun. If you can get the time to read it, all I did, see, I play it for New Year's and Christmas, so I'll have it in the house playing, and I'll put it on speaker system in the house and listen to it while I'm messing around. I mean, it's just, it's much better than reading a book if you can get the audio version because it's way fun to listen to.
Yeah, it's got 67 actors, 150,000 sound effects. Definitely is. It won the audio award, which is the top award that the Audio Publishers Association issues. It's a great story that Aaron Hubbard wrote there with that book.
But while we're talking about this, Writers number 41 is an audiobook. You can get it in audiobook form.
Yeah. Have you guys listened to your story on the audio?
I have, yeah. It was awesome. Yeah, Jim Eskelman narrated mine.
He's phenomenal. Yeah.
Jim is great, man. He's a lot of fun to talk to, too. He's a little bit insane, but he's a lot of fun.
When you have a good voice, it can just bring so much more out of a story, but it requires having a good voice. Someone that can actually, create on it and actually help bring it to life, which is what he's great with.
And
did he narrate your story too? Did he narrate yours as well, Ian? Or is that?
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. You should have done it in Picard's voice. Well, I'm just thinking when he's doing these stories, because some of these stories are very different than each other, and some are very cool stories. I'm thinking he should use like one of those voices.
He does different voices when he does the.
Well, I know, but I mean, I was thinking famous voices, something that'll get you in trouble for doing it.
Exactly.
He does. Look, he does. He sounds more like Patrick Stewart than Patrick Stewart sounds like Patrick Stewart. I sent a copy to Patrick's whatchamacallit people there for the on their Facebook page where they have their fan page. I sent a copy of it to him so he could listen to it. I said, this guy sounds better than you do, Patrick. I got an answer back. Yes, he does, actually. It's great. It's still on their fan page. It's on their Facebook page somewhere. I don't know how far down it's moved by now, but it's fun. So, Ian, what you up to? Getting in trouble? I know you're out there kind of trying to stay cool because I know where you're at. And
I'm pretty much staying out of trouble, but the kids are out of school and I'm getting a lot of writing done, so things are good.
That's good. I mean, that's it's that's right, huh? We're full in June now.
How much time are you able to devote your writing?
A few hours a day.
Do you have anything coming out soon or ready to be submitted?
Yeah, I do. I'm submitting a few things, actually. They're in circulation, so fingers crossed.
Good.
Well, when you get anything solid, send it. It goes right back there. These books always circulate around. Right now, I got these up here, but usually you can see there's a Howling Good Story over there. Right sitting up there is Kevin J. Anderson's Never Again. This is the X-Files book, which we're going to give away later this year. I forgot that sheet's underneath me, but we do have them all over the place. And there's actually some books back here that are hidden behind these right now. But I rotate them around when I get a new one, and it usually stays up there for 6 months to a year. So what we'll do is, if it's signed to me, we don't give it away. It goes in the collection, which is over there. You can't see it. But if it's signed, it stays up here till Christmas. And then during the holidays, we give it away.
Cool.
And we'll say, this is who it is. We'll always advertise. Sometimes we'll even bring on whoever book it belongs to while we're giving it away, so they can meet the artist while we're giving it away. It's just something to help people get to know you, you know, just one more thing to, oh, this guy's nice. He gave me a book. Oh shit, let me tell all my friends. And it just, especially during the holidays, man. We try to do it. We started doing it like beginning of November all the way through. And so that people have a chance to maybe buy a book. It's actually what you hear me say the most between November 1st and January 1st is buy a book. I say it a lot. It's not buying my book, it's buying somebody's book.
Well, Rise of the Future Volume 41, which is this one here, just released last week in the UK and in Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa. And I've been doing radio shows all over the world. You know, we got this one here, but I was just with a morning talk show in Johannesburg on Thursday. I was actually late Wednesday night for me, early Thursday for them. And then I got stuff I did in Australia. So, and then we've had multiple ones. And then Joel, you've got a radio show, and you have an article that just came out in UK to help promote this. So if you're listening and you're in UK or South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, the books are out now. They're in either local bookstores, or they can be gotten by request, or you can download them from Amazon or wherever you get your books. But they're amazing. If you like speculative fiction, these are the best new voices of science fiction and fantasy, as chosen by the best names of science fiction and fantasy. While I publish it, I have no say in what goes in the book. It's only like Orson Scott Card and Larry Niven and Kevin Anderson and Brian Herbert. And those are the guys that decide who the winners are. So they're the ones that picked Joel and who picked Ian to be in this book. So they're the ones that saying that these guys are the best. And who better to be able to make that decision than the best voices that exist already. So there, and you can get them, and it's a great deal, and you're going to discover your next favorite authors. And then you can start giving a bunch of crap to get their next books out, so you can start nudging them up. Where's my next book, Joel? Come on, Ian, what's happening?
That's right. Where's the book, man?
Just right here. We'll give you their email address so you can start pulling out the book and getting them to submit.
It's what is?
I need to bow out, I'm afraid, guys, at the moment.
Go on. Yeah, I know it's late for you. It's 11 at night.
So you're 11:30 almost there for you. So
it's great to catch up with you all, and speak to you all soon.
Hopefully I'm able to make it to UK and we can work out connecting up. How far away are you from London?
Oh, it's not too bad. It's a couple of hours drive, 3-hour drive. It's not too bad.
Oh, good. It's like I drive that to go to dinner sometimes. So good.
Yeah, compared to American distances, it's nothing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, we drive 5-10 hours like it's Americans don't even care anymore, I don't think.
No. Okay, well, thank you very much, Joel. Great seeing you again.
See you soon. Ta-ra.
Okay.
Sure, Joel.
Okay.
Right, so what's the temperature now in Phoenix? I was in Phoenix about a month ago for the opening of an L. Ron Hubbard house that he had when he lived there in 54. And it was during the afternoon. It was over 100. But I remember because I used to live there in the 70s. I lived in Phoenix. I grew up in Tucson. And I remember when it would cool down to 100 degrees by 5 o'clock in the morning in the heat of the year.
Right. Yeah, recently we've gotten up to about 110, 113. 100 isn't bad here because there's no humidity, so you can stand it. But once it creeps up to around 110, 120, you're just dying. It's like being on Mars or something because you can't go outside without a spacesuit.
Yeah, I was there a year before last. I was in Sedona, but I came down to Phoenix. It was a year before last for a UFO conference, and it was 112. And the guy's like, "Why aren't you sweating?" I said, "Because I'm from Louisiana, where it only gets up to 100, but it gets to 100% humidity at the same time." I said, because really, as long as there was a breeze where y'all was, it was fine for me. Now, when the breeze stopped, then it's just sheer heat. It's just pounding on your head. But as long as there was a breeze there, it didn't bother me at all. It's one of the places reason I moved where I live right now, because I live on the coast, so there's always a breeze here, which is so nice when it gets hot. Because right now down here, 100 degrees, and it was 100% humidity last 3 days. It was only 88 degrees, and the feel like was 108 because of the humidity. It's retarded sometimes.
Yeah, I used to work construction when I was in Arizona, mostly in Tucson, and so you'd start like at 6 in the morning, and you get off at 2:30 in the afternoon. But I would always I'd have a t-shirt on, then have a long sleeve shirt on, and wear a cap and long pants, and it was just like the swamp coolers, So I'd be sweating, drink tons throughout the day, and you're just constantly sweating. So my t-shirt was constantly soaking wet, and then it would just, because it was such dry heat, it would dry out the t-shirt, and underneath in the other shirt, it would act as a swamp cooler, and just I'd stay cool that way. And it's amazing, after 2 or 3 months, my shirt, the blue construction shirts, it would be totally bleached out, because the sun was so bad. Yeah. So you see these other people that were like working construction, they had their shorts on and shirt off, and like, man, by the time they're 35, they're going to be total prunes, Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we have these shirts down here that are, I don't know how to explain them. They're just cool shirts. They're made to be cool. And if any breeze hits them, or any sweat hits them, it's almost like you got a little ice cooler on you. They're really good. They got the ones you wrap around your neck, the ones you wear. Yeah. We started getting them about 10 years ago. I started giving them to the construction crews. It was so much nicer. But we use when we have outdoor construction crews going, I have I forgot what they call them now. They're just you turn them on, they're sprayers, and it just puts a mist of water in there.
Oh, the misters, yeah.
Yeah, they're just real light misters, but they work and they keep you. But sometimes we're working with electrical or fire shit, so you can't have them running. So it just depends on what you're doing. It's nice, And Phoenix is a nice city. Other than the aliens seem to like it a lot. I don't know why, but it seems to be.
Yeah, I imagine you know about the Phoenix Lights.
Oh man, two of my Lynn Katai, who lives up in the mountain, there's a friend of mine. She was there standing on the side of the mountain when it happened. She was like, I don't know what the hell is. She was sending me all kind of videos. What's the funniest part about that is 2 million people living in Phoenix, and a handful of people saw it. Even though it made the evening news, still only a handful of people saw it. So some people would go outside and see it, and some people would walk outside and not see anything. It's just kind of odd, because cities. What's like the Mexico City sighting? There's 24 million people there. 1 million people saw it, but the other 23 million didn't. It's a question. It's always like, what's exactly going on? Why don't everybody see it? Same thing with Phoenix. Why don't everybody see it?
We're all hiding indoors.
Yeah, I don't blame you for that either. I'd be hiding all I can. But she said it was kind of in the evening, kind of afternoon, evening kind of thing. But like I said, she lives up on, so, y'all are like this. She lives up here on the right, about halfway up the mountain. I've been up there a couple times. It's nice up there. It
Which
rarely
one, like
gets.
Camelback Mountain?
All I know is if you're standing in the middle of Phoenix and you're looking north, she's to the right, about halfway up whatever that freaking mountain is. So I'll ask her next time I talk to her. And I've been over there 3 or 4 times, but I never asked her what it was. I say I've been to Phoenix, I've been to Scottsdale, I've been to Sedona, some other little town over there. I actually like Arizona. The heat doesn't seem to faze me. And all the locals are always like, "Why?" Then I tell them where I'm from.
Yeah,
like, "Oh, that's why."
Amazing about Arizona too is that frequently it's the hottest and the coolest state in the United States. It's like you've got Yuma, which is the hottest, and you've got Flagstaff is the coolest. It's just interesting how it can be.
Yeah, that's where I've been
both
to
extremes.
Last time I was in Sedona, it was pretty chilly there. It was, and then nobody ever told me there's 2 ways into Sedona, so I came in the front way, which is this number, down this little tight ass mountain, all the way down like this. I'm thinking, man, the other way you can drive in behind the airport, you just drive straight in. I'm like, you're fucking kidding me, right? It's everybody in your car is about to have a heart attack because you could see over the side of the mountain when you're driving down. I was laughing. It's not the first time I've driven on mountains, but I didn't realize there was another way into it. We came off, I think it was off of Interstate 20 or something. and took some road and then ended up down there. I liked it. It was pretty. I mean, I didn't find it to be any more fascinating anywhere else, but it was a pretty little place.
Yeah, it's very
And,
pretty. How long have
yeah.
you been in Arizona, Ian?
We have been in Arizona since 2013, so about 12 years.
Coming from where?
From North Carolina. We drove cross country. It was 2,000 miles. Beautiful trip, but it took us a week with small children.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And we got out here and we've really loved it here. The winters are just beautiful. It's like spring.
Yeah.
For 6 months here, and then it gets hot.
That's why you got the tourists come out, the snowbirds come out then for the winter, and they leave in the summer. So you came out because you're teaching, right?
No, because my wife was.
Oh, your wife was teaching, and there was education somehow in there.
Yeah.
So when you're not, as you're on your way to making a full-time living as an author, what do you do right now?
Right now, I'm making a full-time living as a ghost author.
Wow, that's right. Okay, that's right.
Yeah. And I'm not ghostwriting fiction. I'm ghostwriting mostly qualitative research. I help researchers write up.
Oh, you might be the guy I need to talk to then.
Oh, really?
Well, you're talking to him right now.
Well, so I'm national director for a research organization, and so one of the books we want to put out, which is completely outlined already, is all about the research the organization's done. It's just pretty much, it's. I can't figure out how to write it because one, it's too dry if I write it, but it is just all research. It's 42 years worth of research.
Wow.
And it's and since it's
it includes the lights that you saw in Phoenix.
It does include the lights that you saw in Phoenix. It does.
Is it about UFOs?
It's about it's actually quite a bit more in depth than UFOs, but so I don't know if you've ever heard it. My organization's the one that came out with the blood type study, which they use for everything these days, and which was funny because I was doing research to try to find a particular type of people, and this blood type thing popped into the middle of it. Well, when it did, I contacted 3 of the biggest hematologists in the country and got them to come work with me. And when I mentioned the word UFO, they were like, I said, no, that's not what I'm looking for. I said, I just needed questions answered why things are a certain way. Like, why does South America and Central America, most of the people, 98% of those people are O? Why is that? That shouldn't be that way. O doesn't make up that much of the population, makes up 37%. But there was lots of other questions besides that I needed answered. And the guy was like, he said, this is one of the most in-depth researches in blood study I've ever seen. And so some of that we want to put in there, not all of it, because a lot of it would just be too boring, too much for the layman to understand. But the stuff that they can understand, we want to include in there. We use it to find people who may have had contact. We were looking for similarities in people that may have been crazy or not crazy. We were just looking for ways to find people who may or may not have had some type of contact. And the blood type thing. So 67% of everybody who says they've been contacted have Rh negative blood. It's a weird coincidence. Oh. And since Rh negative blood people are way different than Rh positive people, and the Rh negative don't share their genes with the rhesus monkey, and the Rh positive does. Is it even the same group of people? So it's a lot of research in there, but there's a lot more than just that. That's just a part of it. There's lots and lots of stuff in there that we've been researching for years. And we've just been trying to find a way, I want to know if it's real or if it's not real. How legit is it? How not legit is it? What can you prove in science that makes it real? I have a bachelor's in science. I'm a geek in science, but I also have degrees in advanced electronics and avionics and quite a few other things. But I just, wanted to know if it's true. And I mean, I got an advanced degree in voice stress analysis, which is fabulous, but I got the type of degree that I can use to set up for the machine or not. I can just look at your face, and also we got voice, but we also got facial recognition, body language. I've done a lot of it over the years. I can't tell you. Matter of fact, there's a movie coming out called Capel Green. I did all the voice stress on the guy from Rendlesham Forest, which also would be in it. So that was the Colonel Halt is the one who originally seen it. This was a nuclear missile base that had this experience. This wasn't just some Air Force base, man. This was a nuclear base that these guys all went out in the woods and freaked out on. So we're just trying to find similarities that show, could this be some kind of disease in somebody's head? Or could it be something else? Or is there real legit something going on? That's the questions we want to answer. That's what all the research points to. It's interesting. But like I said, the book's been laid out for a while. I'm just not a writer in any shape, form. I try and try and try, but it never sounds right to me. When I start reading it back to myself, I don't know. It sounds like jibber jabber. That's the only way I can explain it. So I've been looking. So you might be interested. It's something we've been wanting to put together, and it's something that would take off in the field extremely quickly, because no one's ever done anything like this before. It's just like a guideline to, is this person maybe having experience? Is this person a nutsoid? What there's also a list of criteria in there that people who say they've had experiences, people who may have legitimately had experiences versus people who don't, the criteria are different, and it shows different when you're talking to them. It's a very strange thing. It's a very scary little thing at the same time. It's also kind of fun because you don't really know if it's 100% real or not, other than Edgar Mitchell and Buzz Aldrin told me they were, so it made me a little nervous. I met them in D.C. at the press club. I was doing a lecture there, and I had lunch with him. And I asked Buzz Aldrin what he thought about aliens. He said, "What do you mean? The ones that told us don't come back on the moon base again? Is that what you're telling me?" He said, "Yes, they're real." And he said, "Buzz, did we go to the moon?" Because Buzz always tells people, "No, we didn't go to the moon." He said, "Edgar, why are you starting that shit with me?" He said, "You know we went to the moon." He said, "Yeah, but that's not what I'm asking. Tell Mr. Joe what you saw." And he goes into this thing for 30 minutes. I'm sitting there stunned. I can't even talk about it on here. I was just stunned. I was like, "No, you just effing." And the guy, Stephen Bissett, who was hosting everything, I said, "Stephen," he said, he's being serious. So he gave me a list of other astronauts that I went and talked to. All together, between Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo, I've close to 60, almost 70 astronauts. All of them said they had seen something that had been warned off. All of them. Not one, but all of them. So this is what bothers me the most. These are the guys we sent looking for aliens. They said they found them, and we said they were full of you-know-what. Now, how does that work? Remember, we pay these guys to go find ET. They found them. They came back and told us, and they're like, "No, you didn't. You didn't. No, you didn't. No, you didn't." But NASA's now starting to change their tune, so it's interesting. I got several friends of it.
What do you think of those Pentagon videos going back to like 2017?
Pentagon videos are fun. The Yap videos are fun. There's a lot of BS came out of there. I challenged. So I've been to twice. I've gone to DC to give testimony. The first time was 3 days and a buttload of hours. And I actually offered them when they asked me, because I told them I wouldn't do it publicly because of my other two jobs. Now I've given them up, so I could have probably done it. But I asked him while we were sitting there, I said, "Why don't you call somebody at Quantico and have a polygrapher come over and put me on a polygraph?" I said, "I don't want to give testimony for 10, 12 hours and you question me the whole time when we can have a polygrapher here." So sure enough, they brought him over. The first day was 12 hours of testimony, hooked up to a polygraph machine. Tell you what, I was telling them stuff. You could see their eyes going like this, and they would look at him, and he's going, "He's telling the truth." And the lady's like, "No, he can't be." And he's like, "Yes, he is." Yeah, so she actually came and sat down to see if the machine was working, unhooked me, hooked herself up, and she said something. She said, "You're lying. You're lying. You're lying. You tell the truth." She said, "Son of a bitch, it works." She got back up. It was kind of funny. We broke a couple of times for lunch, but they were looking for something they just didn't expect that some civilian would have. And then the second time they brought me back was just recent, just a couple of weeks ago. I went back and spent 3 days with them. And there was lots.
This is with Congress.
This is with Congress. There's lots of senators there. There was lots of reps there. There was lots of aides there. But worse than that, there was at least 24 ranking officials from the Pentagon there. Lowest ranking ones was a colonel. Everybody else was full generals. These were full bird colonels too. These weren't just beginner colonels. I was like, wow, y'all got a big interest in this, don't you? And what was funny, the first day I gave testimony, there was maybe 16 people there. The next day there was over 50. And when I went this time, there was over 100. They were just the guy even told me one of the admirals told me, he said, I can't use the language he used, but he said, "Blinky, blinky, blinky, I hate you." And I'm like, "Why?" He said, "Because you just changed the way I look at the world." She said, I don't even know what to think about this. He said, part of me is scared beyond belief and part of me is exhilarated. He said, I don't think you're lying. He said, I think you're telling us the truth. He said, we didn't even know you existed. I said, that was the whole point. We're a private research organization. I said, we're not a 401(c). We don't take money from the Fed. We have private people who pay for our stuff. I said, that way, and the main reason we did that is if they ever brought us into court, if they ever wanted to research, if you own a 401(c), the government can request to audit your company at any given time for any reason they want, and you have to show them. If it's private research, they have to drag your ass into court to do it. And dragging me into court, since especially I'm in media, all the media in the country would be finding out, why are they doing this? So it keeps us safe is what it does. But anyway, we won't talk about you now. But I mean, we'll get together another time and talk about this. I'll bring you on one of the other shows and we'll talk about it. But I'm more interested in what you're doing.
So what kind of stuff do you like to write?
He's going to be a
science fiction, fantasy, because you won with science fiction, but what about?
Yeah, I write science fiction and fantasy, and I especially like to write stories that combine the two genres. I like to write science fiction stories that include elements of fantasy and vice versa.
I can do that. I like that idea.
So I really like to do sort of genre-bending stories. The story I wrote that appears in Volume 41 of Writers of the Future it's primarily a fantasy, but it has science fiction elements. So
yeah.
What
was the inspiration?
Really proud of how that came out. I hope readers like it.
Yeah. Well, obviously you won.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, that's one way of knowing they liked it.
Well, I was saying I hope readers like it. The judges liked it. Yeah.
It was a good story. I think people are going to enjoy it. You know, what I do is a lot of my friends get to read these after I'm done with them, except for the ones I'm going to give away. But the copy, John sends me an advanced reader copy. And, you know, I don't give it away because it's got the little tag on it. A lot of my friends read it. They enjoy them. They're always asking me, where can I get one? I said, right here. You go to Galaxy Press, go here. I said, shit, Christopher works for Barnes & Nobles. I said, you got it in Barnes & Nobles, idiot. Go get it. No. I said, yeah, you have it. It's in Barnes & Nobles. I said, I don't know if they got any signed ones left. I said, but somebody does. I think I said Books A Million may still have some signed ones left. You might call them, but.
So the little blurb at the front of the book here for Blackbird and Stone by Ian Keith. When a door to eternity opens in a downtown doctor's office, a man and a woman from opposite sides forge a marriage of love between irreconcilable universes. So that was a really fun story. So what was your inspiration? How'd you come up with that?
Well, I live in the desert and my yard is populated by pigeons, rocks, and lizards. So I wanted to write something about them, sort of in tribute. And the pigeons became blackbirds and the stones remained stones, but they also became eggs and the lizards became telecommunications devices. And that's where the story came from. So it sort of began as a tribute to the view out my window, and it became a tribute to quirky families and strong women and all these other things. So it was a long process of evolution.
How long did it take you to write it?
A couple months, at least 2 months, maybe 3.
Yeah.
Well,
how many times did you submit to the contest?
This was my second submission.
Wow. Damn, you good. You got good.
You're on the front side of that bell curve.
Yeah.
What do you think is mean of the bell curve?
Well, no, because I was telling this earlier, most people who win will win in between, like, say, 12 and 16, somewhere up in there. That's at least for me. Most of the interviews I've done, when I ask them how much when they won, there's at least 8 of them told me 14 weeks. And a few said 12, 13. It's just weird. And then it was rare for me to meet somebody who won in the first 5, not in authors, not in illustrators, but in authors. It wasn't that common for the first 5 to have won. That's usually
it's amazing persistence, and it shows you that it pays off.
Yeah, well, it does.
The most was one of our winners, who's one of your hosts now, who I think entered 47 times before winning.
Yes. Well, actually, how long did it take Sean? And we have 2 hosts actually from Writers of the Future. We have Preston and Sean Haslett.
Yeah, Preston Den, I think, was 47 times. His was like a total tearjerker story. Everybody in the audience was crying when he finished his story of when he won. And then Sean, I don't remember how many. It was multiple times. But Kevin Anderson entered 17 times before he disqualified himself. Rob Sawyer was I just had him on as a guest. He was like half a dozen or 7 times.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's
we had
harder for
Wolf
authors to
Rose
win right
24
off.
times.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's harder for authors to win right off.
Yeah,
it's not for illustrators though. I've met a lot of first time illustrator winners.
yeah.
They're
But
usually
also,
younger
Ian's
though.
got
By the way.
had a bit of a runway too, because he's been writing for a long time, just writing for the stuff that doesn't get sold in the bookstores as fiction stuff by writing under pseudonym names, or just not even a pseudonyms. You just write as
Captain Jack Harkness. Wait, if nobody knows who he is, don't worry about it, people. He's a Doctor Who character. Yes.
Yeah. So if you ever wonder who writes stories with a name that sounds like Will Minton, then there you go. Go Ian.
Yeah, there you go. I tell you what, Ian, all that stuff we were talking about earlier, I bet you there's some pretty good sci-fi books in there too. There's some scary, hairy stuff up in there, man. They probably make some good sci. So I push every sci-fi writer for this near now sci-fi. I do. John will tell you, I harass every author we meet near, because I'm a big fan of near now sci-fi. I don't know what it is. It can be sci-fi and fantasy, but I like it, say, from within 50 to 500 years of where we are today.
Okay, I do too.
Yeah, so I feel comfortable there. The stories feel more real to me, even though I know they're not. They just feel, I don't know. It's just me. It's a personal thing, but that's where I like it at. So, and sci-fi and fantasy, I have no problem with that. I know some people do, but I don't know why they do.
Do you have any other stories out published, Ian, that's fiction, science fiction, or fantasy?
Pardon me?
Do you have any other science fiction or fantasy that's been published yet?
I had a fantasy story published in an online zine called Electric Spec. They're really cool. I came to them as a reader and really liked what they were doing, so I sent them a story and they published it. So Electric Spec, nice. They're an awesome journal.
That's good. Now, have you resent your story to any other publications? Because I've got, one of the things is, I mean, these are award-winning stories. You can send them to other publications for them to, one, to enter for contests, and 2, to be published. I've been back and forth with Cal. She had the last story in this book here, which was just a real fun story. She had the one on the toaster, the butter side down. Did you read this book?
I have not, no.
Yeah, so this one here, that was really good. But one thing we definitely encourage anybody listening to this show right now, but just read the stories. They really are good stories. Yeah. And if you're an aspiring writer, this shows you how good you have to be to get published. And then how do they do different stuff? And the one thing you learn from reading is, like, how do you create characters in a short story? How do you start this story? How do you create suspense? How do you do these different things when you've only got a very small bit of real estate to do the full story arc? And how many arcs can you have in a short story? Because a novel is different than a short story.
So, Ian, how many characters can you cram into a short story? Say 15,000 words. How many
words? I have a story
10 to 15. How many characters?
16,000 words that has maybe 4 major characters in it.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I always wondered, because some guy the other day was going on and on about, I've got 21 characters in my 18,000 word book. I said, well, wait, who's who? I said, how am I going to know who's who? So that's a lot of characters, man. I mean, to be shifting around. I mean, you don't even see that in major television things. I didn't read it. I didn't feel like it was going to be. I'm sorry. Yeah. I just didn't feel like it was going to be something I wanted to read.
So Ian, are you a pantser or a plotter, Ian?
Mostly a plotter.
Yeah, Carmen just texted and said, ask me if he's a pantser or a plotter. So,
yeah.
Tell Carmen I have to go back to bed.
I plan pretty extensively before I write.
Well, that's a good thing. There's nothing wrong with
then
that.
it's all thought through. Then it's just a matter of like connecting the dots for you, or
Yeah, I come up with a concept, and then I come up with characters, and I come up with an opening scene, and I sort of plot it out, and I get a good idea of where I'm going. I sort of have to know where I'm going, what the end is going to be. Usually it'll change as I'm writing, but I need a general direction. And then I start writing. So I do my planning by longhand. I write in notebooks, and I fill huge notebooks with just scribbles. And then I sit down and type it. So
you have your various notes. Do you like do the beginning, and then you've got the end, and you throw the middle, and then you've got, oh, here's this cool thing here, and then you tear your notebook apart and then put the different pieces together? And because Tim Powers used to do things with note cards. He used to take the 3x5 cards, and he'd do the different things, and he'd lay the whole thing out on his living room floor. And he told one story once. He had it laid out, and then someone opened the front door, and the wind blew in and just messed it all up. But he would take these things and lay out his story as he came up with different thoughts or different pieces of it. And then that would be his story that he could then go and write.
Doesn't that story that you were just telling continue with when he came back to look at where the stuff had blown on the floor, he found that the ending was better than he originally had it?
Yes.
Yeah, that was a great story.
Yes. So now you read, we had this story. Had you read any of L. Ron Hubbard's stories before?
Let's see.
Because he had Typewriter in the Sky was given to all the winners as his part. Yep. That's Tim's favorite story.
I had read that one, and I have read Tough Old Man.
That was a good one.
Our volume.
Yeah.
Yes, I enjoyed that one. Well, that was the one they did the radio thing once. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah. So we use his stories obviously because he's endowed the contest, and he's the one that created it. But the reason why Tim likes it, and all the judges use it, we've gone through various stories because each judge who teaches the workshop has different favorite stories, whether it's Fear or Final Blackout or Typewriter in the Sky. And just the way he uses and applies what he writes in his essays as learning steps for the writers. Okay, see how he did the suspense and how he does character development and dialogue and stuff. Because we find that when we work with the actors, when they do the shows, even though a lot of the stories are written in 30s and 40s and 50s, a lot of actors say it's so easy to do his dialogue. It's like it's so natural.
It's very
sometimes
natural.
Sometimes they feel compelled to have to change the dialogue because it's so stilted. Said, I love doing his stories because it's just great dialogue. He really gets the various characters and personas so well.
His narration too. He's got a really strong, clear, earthy human voice.
Yeah,
you really feel like you connect with him when you're reading his writing.
Yeah, and it's just it's amazing. Just with very few words, you can really get a picture of what he's talking about, where you are. You're not in mystery about what's happening right now with very few words. And, so it's great. I mean, he was writing 100,000 words a month,
right?
3 hours a day, 3 days a week. And, doing the rest of the time doing his research and travels. So
that's 1,111 words an hour. So that's a lot. I couldn't do that.
A.E. Van Vogt talked about watching him write once. And said he just watched him put the paper in and just looked, because he had a composition speed of 92 words a minute. And so he went and was just looking at the wall and just start typing, and the story would roll out in front of his eyes and he just typed, But he was also of that group that said you have to be willing to throw away your first 500,000 to 1 million words as you build your own voice. And that's a writer writes, and you've written a lot, so that you've got a head start with your fiction, having already written so much as a ghostwriter.
Yeah,
and that's the thing.
You got to get in your 10,000 hours, definitely.
What's that?
You got to get in your 10,000 hours, definitely. Your first 1 million words, or
yeah. And Dean Wesley Smith, he did a lot of ghostwriting too, now he's writing 80,000 words a month, every month. He's, he had his game for the 70th year to publish 70 titles with his name on it, whether he was the editor or the author or whatever. And so now he's 72. So now he's working out his next games that he's doing. He's just, he's a monster writer. He loves to write.
Yeah.
So do you have any particular goal for novels?
I'm not planning a novel yet. What I'm working on right now is a collection of novelettes that I would like to get published within the next year or so. So that's the project that I'm focusing on. And right now I've got 7 novelettes completed for it. I might go as high as 10.
You know what? You can do me a favor. Explain to the audience what a novelette is. I know, but I mean, I get a lot of questions about stuff like that.
If I'm remembering correctly, it's a short story of approximately 7,500 to 17,500 words.
Yeah, it's on the high end there, the 75. But yeah, it is that. And it's interesting because Martin Shoemaker, I just had him on. I was just talking to him earlier with Joel. He's got a novel he's just publishing. It's actually in a bundle we've got coming out in a couple of weeks that we're a science fiction fantasy bundle where he's written about 30 or 40 short stories that he's put into a novel, and they're all connected. And so he's releasing that as a book with all these short stories. So are your novelettes, are they connected somehow?
They are not, no. I want to do a really diverse collection.
Yeah. Is it fantasy or science fiction or both?
It's both. And many of the stories combine them.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. And then you like to keep it as upbeat stuff, or do you get into the...
I love a happy ending.
Good, yeah.
So sometimes they get dark on the way, but I love a happy ending. Spoiler alert. So.
Yeah, no, I prefer that. I don't mind going through a bunch of crap if I know that the author is going to resolve it at the end and it'll come out okay.
Yeah.
If they go through crap and then it ends crap, I just feel really disappointed. I can read the news if I want to be able to have something like that.
Right.
That's true.
I'm not interested in that type of storytelling. It's like, I don't need that. It doesn't do any good to me to just have something that just starts off good, takes a bad turn, and then ends bad or worse. It's like, it's not to me, it's not escape. It's not something where I can go off and just be somewhere and just like chill. Like I said, if I want
to put characters through hard things and then show how they get themselves out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the things that Heinlein talked about of Hubbard's storyline was one of the tropes that he had was the man that learned better. So a lot of his stories are someone who starts off, they're on the wrong side of the law, they're doing the wrong things, they're not ethical, and they come to some type of crossroads and they have to make a decision. And then in his stories, they decide and they learn to do the right thing, and then it has that resolution like that. I love those things, I think it's good if people learn to do the right thing, we'd be a lot better shape right now as a country, as a society, as a planet, but anyway, so I'm good. It's good to know that you're going to have yours that no matter what's going on, it'll end up good.
You have my guarantee.
Thank you. Then you'll have my readership.
Great.
So, do you have a target date for that?
Oh, I would like to have it completely written by my birthday, which is November 9th.
Well, that'd be nice. Nice little birthday present. And then are you going to do self-publishing, or are you already working with other people that you met to give you a helping hand?
There are 2 avenues that I'm looking at. I'm either going to pursue getting an agent, and I know how difficult that is, or I'm going to approach independent publishers who don't require you to submit through an agent. So one of those 2 routes. I
get it. Yeah. Have you been to Superstars Writing Conference or LTUE? Because there's a lot of agents. Publishers come to those and they're looking for more stories.
I haven't been to them yet, but once I have the book, I'll start going to shop it around.
Yeah. Yeah. Because they'll come there and you'll just, they have these little things where you get like 10 minutes or 15 minutes to talk to publishers or agents, and then you can do your pitch. And now that you've learned how to do pitches, you can do something that doesn't turn them off, which most of these guys do, and give yourself that much more of a leg up on selling it.
Yeah, we learned from Gwyllion Nye how to do a pitch. That was a great lesson.
Yeah, it's important, especially when I'm going to these conferences and seeing what people do, how they just butcher it, or they just go way overboard, and just like the guy says, okay, whoa, because your story very well, but nobody else does. And so you start talking about this and this and this, and this is so cool. And he does this and he does that. And it's just kind of like, it becomes a total turnoff. So yeah, how to pitch your story is you can lose the whole thing right there and not pitching it properly. So that's good that you know how to do that. And then now your wife's a teacher. Is she also a writer?
We share a job now. We both do the same job together. So we're both ghostwriters right now.
Oh, that's cool.
That's interesting there.
So
brave,
she's a nuclear physicist, and you're a chemical scientist, and you guys both take on and share different ghostwriting projects?
Yeah, we share the projects, and often it involves qualitative analysis. So she'll do the analysis, I'll do the writing. That's the typical division of work, but we can trade off whenever we want. So it's great.
That's awesome. That's when they really love too, because I work with my wife. Obviously, we work together,
right?
And it's just so rewarding being able to share. And then if something I can't do, then for some reason, if I'm not available, she can just jump in here and she can take the show too. She can do all the different things that I do on doing media or publicity and stuff, or on running different areas. She's the one that produces the show, the Writers of Future Gala. Yep. So, and we're both taking courses right now. We're taking classes, photography, then we're going to take classes in videography, then in editing, all the Photoshop, and then doing all the different classes to be able to do these different things to produce videos, quality stuff. So it's just something that it's great. It keeps, you're able to create stuff together. It's such a wonderful thing. So that's awesome that you're able to do it with your wife.
My wife is a writer too, and I'm encouraging her to submit to the Writers of the Future contest.
Well, I'm all for you on that.
Yeah.
Tell us, submit. Can't win if you don't submit, baby.
That's right.
You got to submit to win. Oh, man, what happens? She wins, man. She wins the big one. Uh-oh.
Well, it'll be my turn to stay with the kids while she goes to LA.
Yeah.
Take the kids with you, man.
It's like with Eric James Stone and Darcy Stone. Eric was a published finalist, and then he was a winner. And so he was like Mr. Hot Stuff. And then his wife, Darcy, came several years later, and she entered, and she won the grand prize. And so it was good. So they've got a really good shtick they do when they go to the Writers of the Future panels, because he also won a Nebula Award. So he comes out, and I came and I won. I won Writers of the Future. And then she said, yeah, well, I came out and I won Writers of the Future. And so she had her story, and then she says, but then I went and I won a Nebula Award. So he pulls out his Nebula and puts it in front of it. He said, yeah, that's cute. That's nice. And he said, yeah, but then I went and I got the grand prize, and mine's way bigger than his. So they just go back and forth on it. I think it's a real fun story they do, and everybody gets a big chuckle out of it.
That sounds like healthy competition, and I would love it if my wife won the grand prize, because we share a bank account. So
yes. So just one fun, because I know we're getting close to being done. Was there a particular judge that you found particularly more helpful than others for yourself?
They were all amazing, but I think I have to give a particular thanks to Jody Lynn Nye and Tim Powers. They were the ones who were with us the most, and they were just so charming and wonderful and brilliant, and they taught us so much.
They so love this too.
Winning this contest has been one of the best things that has ever happened to me. So I would recommend it to anyone.
Good. Well,
yeah, because Jody and I and Tim are just a blast to listen to.
It's funny how they don't agree necessarily on everything too. So Jody says one thing and Tim says, well, I don't think so. I think,
They did
That's
that,
the best part. Yeah, that's the best part though, right there.
Yeah, because it's not like this is the secret sauce. It's like it's all what works for you, and you can like pick and choose. And some people will take the note and they don't realize, that's what they were talking about 5 years later, in their writing career, that all of a sudden you think this is significant, but it doesn't make sense to me yet. So I'll write it down and they find about it later.
I think it's Martin Shoemaker who says not rules, tools.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how they teach you. They give you tools.
Yeah. Definitely.
That's how it should be. You're going to need tools to get all this done. You
and they
need
just have so much
knowledge.
fun. Yeah, they have so much fun, and they totally love what they're doing, and they so enjoy welcoming the next wave of talent, into the profession, which is great.
Yeah, I was flabbergasted to find out that they were donating their time. That's amazing.
It's a big thing.
And they really enjoy doing it. That's for sure.
Yeah. And we schedule the event a year in advance. So they can plan around it because they'll turn down other things to make sure they can actually be here for Writers of the Future, because they just, love what it's done. And this year, volume 42 will pass our 1,000 mark of winners.
Oh,
so
cool.
We'll finally break 1,000 winners this year. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. They I always do like watching them two together. They're a blast. The only other two I find just as funny is Tim and Dean. They're just as bad too. They crack me. But I've only ever seen them together one time. But they were cracking me up. I was like, is this how this is supposed to be?
Yeah, because Dean's totally independent. He thinks anything traditional is just like it's a death knell for an author to go traditional, and the guys that go traditional, they say, well, I just want to write my books and give it to somebody else, and they do everything for me.
Yeah.
So.
I always wondered about that. I know it's hard to get a damn agent these days or get a publisher. So, and how you get ahead of that stack of books that they've got in there.
If you're willing to do the work, you can make a lot more money independent. You make a higher percentage, but you've got to be the one you have to go out there and build a name, build a fan base, which is what Brandon Sanderson did. When he did the thing during the pandemic and made was it $32 million on his Kickstarter? Huh? He said, you're not going to do that because I spent years building my fan base. It's like I brought a fan base with me when I launched this. He went to convention after convention after convention. And he made sure that he did his social media and followed and was in communication with people. He built relationships so that when he came out with this Kickstarter, he had followers.
If you get 1 million people on TikTok or YouTube, you're pretty much going to have a good income no matter what.
Yeah.
We lost a page. It only had 10,000 people on it. It was paying us $6,000 a month every month. So, and that was from little to hardly no work. Right now we're doing it again. We're in the middle of monetizing 2 more pages right now. But once you break 10,000 people, you start moving upward. You'll start seeing pretty decent checks. You get 100,000, you're going to get a nice check. You get 1 million, you get a fabulous check. And that, when you publish anything, you already have that 1 million people to look at it right off the bat. And people are like, oh, millions, insane. No, not in today. There's 8 billion people on this planet. It's not as hard to get 1 million as most people think. Between our 44 social media pages, we got about 2 million people. So it's not that hard. I'm not going to lie to anybody. It takes work, but and it does take. The problem with social media is you have to be active. You can't do social media and then don't come back for a week because you'll start losing followers. If you wait a month, you've lost half your followers. So you really have to post something daily or multiple times, especially TikTok or YouTube. But something. You're an author, so it's not that hard, big a deal for you. You can put out a paragraph of anything. They're paying attention. 2 or 3 paragraphs are like, or you can drop something that's controversial but not politically controversial. Something else.
Yeah. Do you do social media there, Ian?
I am just getting started. I really appreciated the presentation on social media that we received in LA.
Yeah.
And the gentleman said that we should start with Facebook. So starting with Facebook is what I've been doing.
That's where to start, is Facebook.
Building up on Facebook.
Yeah. If you have any help, just give me a holler. I mean, you start with, see what Facebook turns, Instagram and Facebook belong to each other now. So you can have a Facebook, Instagram page, and you can have both publishing at the same time.
Right.
And you can even add WhatsApp in there if you want to. So they'll all three publish at the same time. As you get better at it, you can actually link other pages together that will publish. So instead of having to go to each page to publish, see, right now when I publish something on Facebook, it goes to 44 social media pages. So I only have to publish at one time. But if you don't know what you're doing, you're everyone. And you don't need that many. We need that many because we're a radio network trying to expand our base. For you, it's different. You know, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok is probably all you'll ever need. Once you get to 1 million on each one, you're set for life, man. Just posting. Most people don't realize that just posting to 1 million people, they're going to pay you probably 10 grand, 15 grand a month. That's
really?
Just post. Yeah, oh yeah. Because they're selling advertisement on your site, so they have to pay you.
Right.
And then once you got that, and then you're going, oh well, I got this new book, so you already know you got this many people that are active. You slide the book in there and say, hey, look. And the best thing to do is make a little contest, maybe give a couple away for free while you're selling them, and man, they will eat that shit up like it's candy. I took a little break, so I have to go start over on some stuff because I kind of got sideways in something else, but that's what happens sometimes. But I also had a different career too, so I didn't have to worry about money. It's a different thing for me. But now it's just all I do, so I have to pay attention to my pages. But I'm telling you, just today I made a post to Facebook on one of the pages, and I didn't see anything move on my Facebook page, but my Instagram page lit up like a Christmas tree. And so did my TikTok page. So you just never know which one it's going to be. And if you want, if you don't want to actually have to write everything, you can actually use voice command and talk to your social media, and it writes it for you. So there's lots of ways to do it. There's lots of ways, and I'm telling you, I know a lot of people in social media that are making a lot of money. Well, Preston Dennett probably makes $20K a month.
Wow!
Just off of his social media pages, and he don't have more than 200,000-300,000 people. It's just all about getting it. We have to start over because Facebook took 2 pages. I mean, Facebook took 1 page and YouTube took a big page. They just said you're banned for life. Poof. No reason, no excuse, no strikes, no nothing. Just poof. Wow. That was under Joe Biden and COVID. And one of our hosts said something about COVID, and they took our page. And it was making good money. Like I said, it's making $6 grand a month. That was easy money that I use for all sorts of things for the station. So they just popped it. Now we got Uncle Trump in office. YouTube is way more lenient. Yeah, they're not nailing you in everything you say. And of course, there's Rumble now too. Rumble also pays. All these pages can be monetized. All of them. As a matter of fact, you monetize Facebook. There's nothing that can't be monetized anymore. You get 4 or 5 monetized. You start building them up. The more you build them up, the more money you make. And that's not selling any of your books. That's just talking about stuff. When you get ready to put your books out or anything, you just put them out there. Like if you wanted to do 4 or 5 little short stories, you could put them out there and say, hey, I got 5 little short stories here, 5,000 words each. I'm going to sell the book for $10 or $20. If you've got a loyal audience, they'll eat it up. You'll get, just think, this is what I try to get across to people. Right now, if you're on our Facebook page, it's $6.99, right? So if you get 6,000 people on that page, that's $36,000 a month. What that is, and just $6.99 a month, man. You can go cheaper, you can go more expensive. A good friend of mine.
Pretend you're releasing a new book like Rise to Future Volume 41. Let's just pretend.
Good idea.
I'm working on John's Facebook page too. I want to get them up because they can start releasing it off their page.
There we go. And you get feature amazing authors like, I don't know, like Ian Keith. Then you can go ahead and get the book and then read the story and find out why it was that he was a winner. And then you also get to read these 2 tabs here are UK authors. And but we got winners from 5 different countries in here. And it's just amazing what you're going to be able to find. If you love speculative fiction, this is definitely a book you can find amazing stuff with.
Denise says the best authors are always married. I don't know if that's true or not, Denise. I mean, L. Ron Hubbard wasn't married, and
Yeah, he was.
was he? Oh, well, you see that, and then Gene. We know Gene Wright. Oh, maybe not. Maybe it is best writers are married. Oh shit, we might have discovered something. But we got to get out of here because I am 14 minutes away from going live on another show for 4 hours. Ian, it was great having you. I'm going to get in touch with you in a couple of weeks when I get a little free time. I'll hit you up with a email and see when you got some free time, and we'll chit chat about that. John, as always, John is fabulous. Always, we don't have to worry about John. I call him the sexy beast, man. So we know he's good. And then when he's not, I'll call Emily. He's being bad. Just kidding. But anyway, it's great having you on, guys and girls. We're gonna go. If you come into the chat, we will be on the chat in just a few minutes. Chat has no rules, no topics, so just prepare yourself. I don't know who's doing what tonight. I'm sure there'll be a little Humpty Trumpty talk, but other than that, we'll be on a bunch of other topics. So stay tuned for the chat, and thanks for tuning in to the Authors Quill. Be sure you catch Writers of the Future before this and The Professional. It's a good solid lineup on Saturdays for shows. So I hope y'all all enjoy them. And if you do have a bitch, moan, or gripe, please write to Michelle DeRoche.